My grandma told me, in West Virginia we got a lot of sayings, but she said, son, and she's not really my mom also, but she said, son, if you wait until all the lights are green before you head to town, you'll spend the rest of your life at home. I thought that's a pretty powerful statement, isn't it? But it's also about discipline. 1985, true story. Mrs. Ball, because all my report cards said, Brian talks too much, Brian doesn't sit down, Brian wants to be the class clown. Shut up, sit down. And what's funny is that I've generated millions of dollars doing what they told me not to do. But Mrs. Ball saw something and she said, Brian, I entered you into a speech contest and you're gonna go out and you're gonna give a 5-minute talk at the Optimist Club and it's gonna be on optimism. I said, Mrs. Ball, this is amazing, thank you so much, but I don't know anything about eyesight. And she said, no. And she could have said, it was like, no, you idiot, it's positive thinking. And I went and I won first place. That's the actual medal, that's not me in 8th grade, but like, that's the actual medal that I won in 1985. And here I am, 38 years later, whatever that is, doing exactly what I was called to do, my passion. But for 28 of those years, never made a penny doing it. Just with a passion, but do it. You just gotta go out there and love it. What you do, change your internal dialogue. So here's an example. Instead of what if we run out of resources, what's the best way to use our resources? Instead of what if we don't win that contract or that ad, well, what can we do to win that contract? What can we do to win over that new business? See, that's the non-conscious language. There's this emotional connection that we keep talking about. My daughter flew on Emirates a couple years ago, and the flight attendant came up and she said, I noticed you're traveling with your daughter. I actually have a daughter about her age and we have a little uniform like that we wear. Do you think she'd be interested? I said, I don't see why not, ask her. And she's like, okay. And my daughter wore it the entire trip. She handed out candy, she worked. I'm like, why did I pay for the seat if all you're doing is working? It's like child labor. But when we left there, she goes, Daddy, I only want to fly Emirates going forward. And I said, why is that? Because she doesn't know the difference really between anything like that. But she said, listen to this, because the way they make me feel. And that's a powerful thing. Now, another word for investigation rapport is stalking, okay? I like to look people up before I go talk to them. So I'm gonna look up Facebook and they go, well, their Facebook's locked down. A lot of times you go to the about, go to likes, you'll see things they have interest in. That's usually not locked down. Friends could be locked down, other things, but then I'm gonna see what it is. And I'll give you an example. I was meeting with a lady who's a financial advisor. I was gonna go out on the road with her. And she goes, I'm meeting this lady today. She's rude. I've talked to her 2 times. She's unfriendly. She doesn't open up. I'm really dreading it. And I go, well, what kind of rapport investigation have you done? Well, there's nothing, LinkedIn, that's it. That's all I know. I was like, let's go to her Facebook. She doesn't have anything. Found that she liked Chihuahuas. She had Chihuahua Rescue, Chihuahua this, Chihuahua that. And she goes, well, that's weird. I go, what? She goes, I have a Chihuahua. Do you? This is manipulation with good intent. I said, do you have a picture of your dog? Yeah, of course. Go put it as your screensaver. So your desktop. So we go to the meeting and I said, when we show up, just kind of open it up and have your Chihuahua sitting there. Hand to God. The woman goes, oh my God, I have a Chihuahua. She goes, no. Yes. Are you joking? No, I love Chihuahuas. It's like, wow. All of a sudden, they're best friends because they're connected in a way, right? Important, valued, appreciated. So the secret to communication is be genuinely interested in the other person. Just listen. They're gonna show up. They're gonna open up. Just learn about them. Ask questions. Where did you grow up? What did you like most about that? You know, tell me about your children. Now, don't show up because you've done investigation rapport and you don't know them yet, like at their kid's softball game. Come on, Billy, you can do it. Who are you? You're AE. You just don't know it yet. You know, that kind of thing's weird. My daughter, when she was 9 years old, came home and she didn't place and swim. And her mom, I guess, gave her some advice. And she goes, Daddy, Mommy said it's not about winning. It's just about doing your best. I said, that's really awesome, Alex. You know who says that? Who, Daddy? Losers. That's who says that. Your mom's a hippie. And what we have to understand is that it's okay if you don't win, but you play to win every single time. Networking, being able to experience new best practices and ideas, because it's really about planting the seeds. That's all we're doing here. Planting mental seeds, physical seeds. Well, not physical seeds, but the thing is, that'll get you in trouble. But you can give it water, you can give it rain, you can do all the things you want to do to nourish that seed, but it could still become a weed, and that's okay. You know it's a really good quote when you quote yourself. But imagine, I call it Powerball syndrome. If you won that $567 million at Ernie's liquor store and you decided to come anyway, how different would you act when you walked in here? I mean, you wouldn't act, because money doesn't change who you are. Money makes you more of what you are. Do you also remember back in the late 1970s that this slogan came out? And it was because Scope was wanting to battle Listerine. Now, for those youngsters in the room, Listerine wasn't always beautiful, fresh mint and wintergreen and all that. It was this dark urine-colored medicine. It was horrible. And I remember this commercial being on TV. This man brushes his teeth, gargles, comes in to kiss his wife. She goes, "Ew, your breath is so medicine-y." And he goes, "Well, what do you recommend? I'm killing germs." "I do minty, not medicine-y." And then they talked about Scope. So what's Listerine gonna do? They're not gonna come out and be like, "Hey, you get used to it?" They can't do that. So what did Listerine do? They said this idea. When you admit a negative to a prospect, they immediately accept it as truth. Admit the negative. Try not to skirt around it. That's one of the reasons why there's a couple of things with objections, even though this isn't part of it, I want to share it. Number one, it's always important to address the negative up front or the objection up front. If you do it up front, they can't bring it up later, okay? And I'll give you an example. Let's say that I've been traveling for 3 weeks. I'll come home, I'll take a big glass of water and some Tylenol and I'll put it by the bed, and she'll be like, "What's that for?" "I don't have a headache." Good. See, overcome the objection before it becomes the objection. This is what I'm saying. So what did Listerine do in this case? Listerine came out and said, "Listerine, it's the taste you hate twice a day." Not only did they admit it tastes bad, they said you're gonna do it twice a day because it kills the germs that cause bad breath. I believe that experience also comes from your passion. If I came up here and I wasn't passionate about what I was speaking on, that would be a very long hour, wouldn't it? And it's interesting that 55% of communication, jot that down, 55% of communication is nonverbal. Not even talking, not opening your mouth, nothing. 38% is how you say it, your cadence or speed or your enunciation, the way you punch certain words. So 93% of communication isn't even the words you're using. It's how you're saying it, when you're saying it, what your body language looks at. Take any amazing speaker, anybody, politician, comedian, preacher, just put them up on YouTube, put it on mute, and watch their language. Nonverbal language. It's pretty powerful stuff. I said, "Dad, one day I'm gonna have money." "Why you want money? People with money are unhappy." "Well, we're broke, we're unhappy." Money doesn't buy happiness. But what you do shouldn't be about the money. It should be about the winning, the pride, the excitement of knowing that you're making a difference.